speak about the dangers of socialism and communism. We're going to preach this till the end of times, folks, and I hope the end of times is a lot longer than the next few years. All right, can we do this? We say happy birthday. Look at this little thing we got here. We don't have a lighter. We would light that little birthday candle for Colin Christie, our chief engineer, guy who runs the control room, does everything. You got a problem here, he fixes it. Well, power went out, Wi-Fi went out. Colin will get it. Colin, happy birthday. Is he in the control room now?
Yes, sir. He's right here. Colin's right there.
Happy birthday, Colin Christie. What are you doing for your birthday?
Have some people over for a barbecue tomorrow.
There you go.
People over for a barbecue.
There you go. Well, have some fun, have some drinks, have some barbecue, and by all means, happy birthday. All right, folks, that's it for us. Bannon coming up, War Room next. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.
We know elections administrators and others who are in the world trying to watchdog our elections are doing these tabletop exercises right now, Katie, preparing for the eventuality of foreign misinformation on social media the day of the election. You can bank on that being tried. And for these disputes that arise after, including during the counts, during the sometimes sluggish counts in some states. Local elections administrators are more prepared for this than many people think. They have exercised on this. They are prepared for this. They've seen this in past elections. They're more ready now than even they were in 2020. I think a lot of this foreign interference that's being attempted, that's being studied, even though the studies aren't being released, are things people are more on a war footing for now than they were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and 6 years ago.
All right, so James, war footing. You have a number of officials who are prepared for this. Can you prepare for whatever might come next? Whatever Donald Trump and his allies might try to do, either basing it on alleged voter fraud that they don't have the evidence for, or stopping a count, demanding a recount. Are they ready?
I think they are, and I'm normally the pessimist on your panels. But,
look at you!
But I'm with Scott here. I think that the warning signs have been out there for long enough. We've already been through the ultimate dry run, right? I mean, we experienced 2020, we experienced January 6th of 2021, and everything in between those two time periods, and we have the same individual as president, and all of the warning signs, the bullhorn has been, the megaphone has been used. Nothing at this point can catch election administration officials by surprise. That doesn't mean that they won't try, and it doesn't mean that it won't be difficult to keep up. There is always the challenge that courts and officials can't keep pace with the executive branch, right?
Well, so tell me that. How many lawsuits could be filed? I mean, how much could happen all at once in order for courts not to keep up?
Well, in a particular jurisdiction, and it couldn't, and listen, we've seen, there's plenty of evidence, 2000 in Florida and Georgia in 2020, and if you end up in a situation where there is a state and the Senate or the House is hanging in the balance based on the results in that state, you are going to see the kitchen sink get thrown. And that is going to be, on the other hand, because all of the resources will go that direction for the individual trying to challenge. On the other hand, it's sports. The other side can play defense. And I think that what will happen is that the system will hold in large part because of the people in it.
Here's a question for you. Could a state appeal to the Supreme Court ahead of time to say, we want you to affirm that we have control of our elections, that the federal government cannot walk in and try to seize ballots, cannot walk in to try to seize voting machines, cannot walk in and try to demand a vote be stopped or a count be stopped?
Not to get professorial here.
Please do.
There's a ban in the federal system on what's in the courts on what's known as an advisory opinion, which is to say that when there is a lack of a case or controversy as defined under the Article 3 of the Constitution, federal courts lack jurisdiction, and the Supreme Court in particular lacks jurisdiction to issue essentially what you're describing, an advisory opinion saying all of that. That being said, there's plenty of precedent that already says that, and there is a Constitution which makes it abundantly clear that the executive has no role.
So do you think that if an issue of whether the federal government can intervene in a state's election comes to the Supreme Court, which it could, are you confident that the majority would rule in favor of the states? Is the Constitution so clear?
It would depend on the issue. It would depend. I mean, this is not a dodge. It's just an honest answer. It would depend on the nature of the issue. And
is there one that comes to mind that's squishier than the rest?
Well, in Bush v. Gore in 2000, you had a very conservative majority that ruled essentially on equal protection grounds that the differential standards in the ballot count reg. You can think back to looking through the magnifying glass and holding the ballots up to the light, and the different standards that were being used in different jurisdictions. Those different standards created, in the eyes of the Supreme Court majority, an equal protection problem under the Constitution, which is federal, and therefore created a federal basis to intervene. But to your question, as to the general matter of whether the states and Congress are in control as opposed to the executive, the Supreme Court is there.
It's Friday, 21 August, year of our Lord 2026. We're going to get into, we got Mark Mitchell. We're trying to track down right now. Mark Mitchell is going to join us. Got a new polling operation. I'll talk about Sofia Karstens. We had Sofia on, I think it was last Saturday, and her piece got picked up. It's amazing about the administrative state, the intellectual roots of it. It got picked up by the Great Zero Hedge in its entirety. We only got a chance to go through one half of it. So we're going to take some time at the bottom of the hour and have her do a reset and go through the entire thing. I want to go back to Trevor Comstock. Here's the reason. It's August. It's not that we're doom and gloom, but we're dealing with the toughest, hardest problems the nation has, as the WarRoom posse wants, because they're the grassroots leader of MAGA. But every now and again, like I said, we finish the show so often with you running through the tape, Trevor Comstock, because, and I want people to understand this, Trevor started this business, came to us through some colleagues we had, and we were looking to do some of this, or he came with us, and he had a concept of doing one of these type of companies, but do it totally differently, in that the products would be handcrafted, but most importantly, be made with American materials, with American hands, and that even if you had to take a hit on your operating income or the margin that you could have back as profits, you would do that because it was more important to know that the integrity of these products were American made. Trevor Comstock, you've been just extraordinary and people love it. Walk me through. I know you got some specials you want to talk about. You're still running a summer special, and I want to make sure going into the weekend that everybody's got access to this, particularly, and I think this was a huge deal with the Merriweather Farms, with Catherine. It's huge with Tage and with you. One of the things we want to make sure people know is that it's just not us pushing these products. Go read the reviews. The reviews are people just like yourself that watch this show, or friends of people that watch the show, that go use these products and are just blown away by them and then come and give reviews. And that's why I tell everybody, immerse yourself in the website, get all the information about the product yourself. If you want to, you've got full access to Trevor, but make sure also you read the reviews because you can see what your fellow countrymen actually think about this. Trevor Comstock, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. And to your point, before I forget, you can definitely still use code SUMMER for 20% off any order. We have that sale going through the weekend. But also to your point, since our inception about 2 years ago, our goal is always really just to provide products at an affordable price that are also all natural. And when we started, and what we continue to see today, is that unfortunately throughout the industry, and especially with a lot of these larger corporations and companies, and just like products you see on Amazon, of course, not all of them are bad, but many, if not most, will advertise them as healthy. And then, of course, when you look at the label, you'll just find a ton of things like chemicals, preservatives, food dyes, and binders that benefit the company and help extend the shelf life. But unfortunately, it's pretty detrimental for human health and consumption, but they just hide it. So again, at Sacred Human, we just wanted to take the opposite route, where we're always making sure that we're just using the purest product or purest ingredients possible. We also third-party lab test all of our products as well for purity, and we test for things like heavy metals, which most companies don't do. But then to take it a step further, we also promise to make sure that everything's produced right here in the USA. So we're not outsourcing anything overseas like most companies do. Most companies just outsource everything, usually to China, especially when they get bought out. We will never do that. That's always our promise, to make sure that everything's handcrafted here. And then, of course, I did want to just touch on the grass-fed beef liver. It's our baby. It's what we started out with. We always get a lot of questions around it, but people still love it. But I always like to compare it or make the analogy that it's essentially nature's multivitamin. And it is one of the most powerful superfoods on the planet. So you'll just get a ton of nutrients and vitamins and things like iron, zinc, vitamin A, B12, CoQ10, folate. The list is quite extensive, but these are all just essential for things like healthy skin, hair, heart, immune system, as well as brain support. And then on top of that, I think why people love the product so much is just due to the natural energy boost that they often get after taking it. And the energy boost really comes from the fact that it is a whole food supplement. So your body is able to actually absorb and obtain these nutrients when you consume the beef liver. So it can actually utilize it. And that's when you get to experience the energy boost that people love. So, it's not like a synthetic vitamin or multivitamin or anything like that where, you'll take it and then your body just flushes out the nutrients. With this product, you really are getting your best bang for your buck. And there's just so many benefits that go along with it between the overall health and the energy boost.
Okay. I want a 20% off still if you go use it. Where they go right now to go to the site, to immerse themselves in all the information, read the reviews. If they need to directly contact you, Brother Comstock, where they go?
Yeah. So you can go to sacredhumanhealth.com or you can type in Sacred Human in Google. Like I mentioned, you can use code SUMMER through the weekend for 20% off any order. And then, like you said, definitely check out the reviews, especially on the beef liver. They're pretty incredible. The feedback on that product has always been absolutely amazing.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for kicking us off.
Thank you.
I've got Mark Mitchell and Sofia Karstens going to join us momentarily. Got Dr. Thayer. Let's go. Good morning, Joe. Hardball is commenting on some of the things we've been talking about. Let's hear it.
If they do that, they would have an effective counter to what Trump's probably going to be up to, thanks to Steve Miller and that crowd. They're going to come up with something dirty. They're going to try to make all Democrats into something like the Marxist wing of the DSA. They're going to try to make it really bad, and they're going to make it nasty like they did with the going after the trans kids in the last election. Just remember, people on the sidelines of an NFL game, all of a sudden they're watching this new ad in the third quarter of the game. Where'd that ad come from? What's all this about? As Karl Rove told me, the Republicans are good at that last 6 weeks where they come up with something really nasty like Willie Horton. By the way, his name was never Willie in his whole life. They came up with the name Willie because they wanted to sound black. Excuse me. They are very good at confecting this stuff. And I can see they can do something with the DSA, and they're going to make them into real Marxists. They're going to play the game. Personally, I think AOC is as American as apple pie. It won't work with her. It may work with some others, but I think they're going to get nasty, and I think it's going to be a really great close.
Is Chris Matthews a dirty old man? As American as apple pie. Yo, Dr. Thayer, are you sitting there smearing the DSA as Marxists and communists, sir?
Hardly. I think if the shoe fits, wear it. They're clearly Marxist. They're Leninists at the end of the day, as is the inner party of the Democratic Party. The DSA is a front organization. It's not what's going on here. It's the Democratic Party which is driving all of this and has been for decades. So whatever, Chris Matthews can say what he wants, of course, but at the end of the day, AOC is not as American as apple pie. AOC is determined to replace the United States, to replace America with ultimately what's going to be a communist tyranny, because we're in a revolutionary time in the United States, which is very important, of course, for the WarRoom audience to recognize. We are in a revolutionary time, and that's what's happening right now, today, which is why these elections are so important. It's absolutely critical to turn out, to vote, to get involved, so that we're going to be able to defeat the communist revolution.
Where did they go? Your new book is a kind of rips the veil off all this, the 100-year war we've had against the Marxists and the communists. Where do they go? Why do people, we got about a minute, why do people need to read it now? Where do they go to get it?
Steve, folks need to read it now because it explains what the threat is, why we've gotten to this point. Over 100 years, we fought communism better in the past when our identity was stronger. Communists have gone sledgehammer blows against our identity to weaken it. It also explains the solution, what Americans need to do, and that's to rediscover our national identity. American identity is the antidote to communism, and it suggests ways people can get involved and books people can read, including Whittaker Chambers' Witness and other books, to really be involved in how this threat developed and how Americans dealt with in the past and what they need to do in the future. So folks can go to Amazon or to Barnes & Noble. And I'm Brad Thayer at X and Bradley Thayer at Getter and Truth. Steve, thank you so much for writing the foreword to it. It's obviously very important to really frame the book and to put it in context as you did.
Yeah. Let's give Chris Matthews something to really worry about. Dr. Bradley Thayer, thank you. The 100-Year War Against Communism. Thank you, Dr. Thayer. Short commercial break. The Mark Mitchell back on the War Room. Wow. This guy is fire breathing. Next in the War Room.
What makes an Erie metal roof different isn't just how it's built. It's what it's built to outlast. Like a lifetime of hailstones playing hardball. Our metal roof is engineered to outlast just about anything life throws at it. 120-mile-an-hour winds, a tail breeze. Even in the summer heat, an Erie metal roof can keep its cool. Our metal roofs look as good as they perform, and they're backed by a 50-year transferable warranty. Want peace of mind that's going to weather the storm? Start at the top. Get a free consultation today.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about getting any rest. There's nothing cozy about airplane seats or hard plastic benches, and those so-called travel pillows, they just don't cut it. You don't need another travel pillow. You need Be Cozy, the world's most comfortable neck pillow. Trapped in the middle seat? Wrap Be Cozy around your neck to stop chin drop, bobblehead napping. Smashed up against the window? Fold Be Cozy over and tuck it onto your shoulder for super side support. Frequent flyer miles got you sitting aisle? Turn Be Cozy to the side for the perfect pillow position. Everyone wants to be cozy, so get the world's most comfortable travel neck pillow and be cozy just like me, Ben Cozy. You get to be cozy. Everyone gets a Be Cozy. Only Be Cozy has patented overlapping arms so you get double support and the comfort you need in any seat on any trip. Go online right now and get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Be Cozy, get one 50% off. Get yours now.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
When is the last time you had date night? Might have been a little too long. Well, I want to suggest a great date night movie for you called The Brink of War. It's Angel Studios' newest release, which just came off the hit summer movie Young Washington. Here's a quick preview of The Brink of War.
You got the Russians to the table. Gorbachev came to play. But if we fail here, there will be war.
When you purchase a premium Angel Guild membership and use the code DATENIGHT, you will get 4 free months of membership plus 2 free tickets to see The Brink of War in theaters. And you'll get full access to Angel's entire streaming library, plus free tickets to every single Angel theatrical release in the future while you remain a member. That's one heck of a date night deal. Head on over to angel.com/Rav and use the code DATENIGHT for this amazing deal.
19 months into the second Trump administration, and they're still blaming Joe Biden. And first of all, war on cows? Really? You're going to blame a war on cows for the fact that tariff policies and all the other horrific policies that are being put in place continue to cause make groceries spike, continue to make rent spike? Willie, just on the last issue about debt and on deficits, I actually do know something about this. I don't know if I told you I was in Congress. We balanced the budget 4 years in a row, the only Congress that have done that in 100 years. Let me just tell you, Donald Trump, in his first term, before Joe Biden was president, before Joe Biden stepped into the Oval Office, he oversaw deficits spiking a record number, 317%. Deficits went up from the beginning of his term to the end of his term.
Now, this is all, Morning Joe, all they are is fiscal conservatives. They're on top of it. It's all madness. Two things I want to make sure people understand. To understand all of this, birchgold.com/Bannon, End of the Dollar Empire. It's totally free, 8 free installments. Gold's at $4,600 an ounce. When we started, it was, I think, $1,100 an ounce. Why did we get it right? Because the information that you were provided, you have to make these decisions now more than ever, because trust me, folks, you're going to have some financial turbulence going on. That's why central banks are buying gold at record rates. But it's not the spot price of gold. It's the process, the convergent forces. birchgold.com/Bannon, End of the Dollar Empire. Get today, 8 free installments. A 9th is coming. As soon as I told you that Philip Patrick and myself finished the graphics, get to Philip Patrick direct to him. Also, Rickards.warning.com. Jim Rickards has got a special for you just for the in commemoration of the 250th birth of the nation, right? Actually, the Declaration of Independence didn't get our independence till we fought for it. Of course, 250 years ago today in Long Island wasn't looking good, as you had a 32,000 troop expeditionary force ready to come and invade with 8,000 Hessians. Strategic intelligence based upon predictive analytics, rickardswarning.com for $17.76. You get 3 months free. If you don't love it, and I mean love it, you tell Jim I want my money back, and he will give you back $17.76. Strategic intelligence. Now more than ever, you have to understand the world around you, okay? So birchgold.com/Bannon for the End of the Dollar Empire, and rickardswarning.com for strategic intelligence. Also understanding that is a man named Mark Mitchell. Now, Mark, a lot of people just think you're some wild man on Twitter. You're actually a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, correct?
Yeah, everybody says, look at Mark. He's upsetting me. He must be taking money from Qatar. And it's like, I was an Eagle Scout in the church choir and youth group. I went to the Naval Academy. It's like, what are we doing here, folks? Hang on. Stop. Don't bury the lead. You were also a submariner, correct? In Rickover's Navy, you were a submarine officer? Yeah, strategic deterrence was my field for 5 years. And, so when I talk about an Iranian nuke, I actually know what I'm talking about.
Okay, hang on. The elite of the elite in the Navy, I say the surface warfare officer, are not the Navy SEALs. They are great commandos, okay? The best of the best. It's not our pilots. My kid brother's a Navy pilot. It's not even the jet, not even Top Gun. It's not in Nelson's Navy tradition, the surface warfare officers of the Great Fleet, the destroyers and frigates you see in the Persian Gulf right now. It is Rickovers. I made a film with Michael Pack on Admiral Rickover. I think the only real docudrama ever made with him. I'm very proud of this because of what he did. And I was actually in the Pentagon when he was forced to retire, I don't know, at the age of like 98. Rickover's Navy was special. You had to be the elite of the elite of the elite. So Mark Mitchell's not some wild man just wandering off the prairie. He comes with you come with a tradition of excellence in everything you've done, correct?
I mean, I don't want to beat my chest, but you might like this, Steve. Look, in my new studio, I got a B cam. Hold on. Can I switch to this? Oh, it's not letting me do it. Well, I'll have to do it some other time. But I got my naval sword up there. I have my plebe summer hat. I got my mug from the USS Nebraska.
Wow.
And what's cool about Rickover is I worked in corporate America too. If this guy was running McKinsey, this would be a very different country. We would be a lot more productive. We would have a lot more corporate profits. There would be a lot more objective decision making, and you can guarantee we would not be seeing woke DEI stuff.
Admiral Rickover was really one of the most important, one of the giants of the 20th century. That's why I made a film about him, Mark. You should know. Michael Pack came to me and they did a poll of Americans, I think back in the 90s or 2000s, and only like 2% of the people even remembered who he was. I go, Rickover was a giant, so that's where we did it. Why have you then, with that tradition and that background of Naval Academy, Eagle Scout, submarine or nuclear Navy, all of it, Why are you so controversial as a pollster? Why do people come to me all the time and say, Mitchell's he's a wild man, he's out of control, look what he's saying? Why do they say that, Mark Mitchell?
Well, I've been exposed to this industry, and you obviously know the hijinks that go on. And believe it or not, they go on both the left and the right. They generally go on for different reasons. The left does it for the love of the game or for ideological reasons or because of their corporate advertisers. The right, there's a lot more lobbying going on, a lot more money changing hands behind the scenes. But over the break, while I was silenced, I read this book here, George Gallup's 1940 Pulse of Democracy. And he basically popularized the polling industry in the United States. And he did it for a very clear reason. He wanted a referee for the American citizen. He thought that democracy is going to be very hard in a big, disparate republic. And he specifically called out all the deal making that happens behind the scenes in smoke-filled rooms. And you know what? I think he's right. In fact, I think it's even worse than when he wrote this whole thing in 1940, because they had a lot of respect and went out and talked to people in the field face to face and wrote down their words. And now there's basically people turning tricks in order to get political action committee money. And I won't be a part of it. I'm in this for the American people. And as far as I can tell you, based on the people I know in the industry, it's really just me and Rich Barris that believe this. And it's like, I want to put out public sentiment work that is not beholden to political parties or corporate interests or is afraid of pharmaceutical advertising or whatever. And if that's got uncomfortable information, like, I'm sorry, but it's not my job to shill for your political party. It's my job to get Americans what they want. And what do they want right now? They basically want an economy that works for them, and they want a federal government that's been reformed, and they actually want like the runaway spending to be reined in, and they want to be put first for once. They want a domestic policy agenda. And obviously we know this, as I've talked about on your show, because that's why Donald Trump got a mandate in 2024. An economic populist, government reform, restore order mandate. And it was a big coalition that came together in order to give us that.
People say today, I'm going to get back to that in a second. People say today that polling's basically turned into a psyop. You saw the situation with on the Democrat side where they admitted afterwards, hey, we just made it up, and the media bought into it. On the DSA candidates running away by 20 points in Wisconsin and Michigan. Is polling deteriorated now in your eyes to basically most of it's just a psyop?
Polling's hard, but polling is also valuable, and polling is not all knowing. It's just data, right? It's like if the election were held today, and you have a lot of people on the right who will selectively choose when to believe polling. Some of them are polling troglodytes and hate it all. And it's like, okay, like fine, be like that. It's not for everybody. But at the same time, we can't not have polling, because we would have like South American Banana Republic elections where you just absolutely have no idea if things are stolen or not. Now, also, it's harder to poll in this day and age because there's a political realignment happening. A lot of people are upset with the political parties, and the younger people are a lot less ideological. They like shift with the wind. And then at the same time, let's not forget that we still have problems with complete mismatches and fundraising on different sides of the aisle on some of these races. And we still have election integrity issues. We still have massive runaway mail-in ballots. And so I look at something like what happened in the Michigan Democrat primary, and I say, okay, first, it's a primary race, harder to poll. And, some good people went in there like Emerson and tried to predict it. And the DSA candidate underperformed Emerson polling by like 13 or 14 points. Well, it's like, show me what happened in Detroit, and I'll tell you like what I think happened in that race. And obviously he was also outspent 10-1. So there's some of this, right? But it's at the end of the day, like you're going to get a pretty good look at what the national popular vote is going to be nationwide. Like polling like kind of works and continues to work. And people who don't like the narrative will go out and cherry pick whatever data point they want to use to undermine their particular pollster. Because again, Emerson's a good pollster, but yeah, they missed in the Michigan primary by like 14 points. It happens. And, there's always surprises. Like nobody predicted that Collins was going to get as many votes as he did in Florida. But at the end of the day, I come back to the sentiment work, like the why. And it's like, okay, yes, like I've shown on your show examples of how we know the left wing polling industry will fudge the numbers and try and create some fake momentum for the Democrat establishment candidate like Kamala Harris, or how they'll try and do ops to undermine the anti-establishment candidate, spring of 2025 Trump and the 100-day worst polling in history. But we can't also not acknowledge that if you look at any pollster, apples to apples, if you go into look at New York Times right now, compare Trump's current approval rating today with where George W. Bush was exactly at this point in 2006. And you're going to be surprised because they're basically going to track. And like, that's just the reality. I'm not going to like lie or sugarcoat that for people. What I want to tell you is why. And why that is because people wanted economic populism and there was a mandate to reform the government. And that's why Trump got elected. And I got a chance to meet him, as we've talked about, in November, almost a year ago. And I sat in that, he was having lunch. I sat in that room and I told him, you are going to lose the midterms in the fall unless you can refocus on single-minded laser focus on economic populism and visible, brutal reform of the federal government. And if you stray from that, it's not going to work. And I think I was right. And I was very open about thinking the Iran strike would be a bad idea. Yeah.
I'm going to hold you through the break. Sofia Karstens is going to join us. Also, when President Trump says that, or Besson says that they've been mandated now on fiscal consolidation, and you got Vogt and Besson in 2 weeks going to present a plan to the president that has both revenue changes and cost changes. That is what Mark Mitchell was talking about. A brutal, restructuring of the U.S. government to get spending under control so we don't implode with republic-ending debt. Short commercial break. Mark Mitchell, Sofia Karstens on the other side.
Pam lost weight. Must be on the fat shot drugs.
Ugh, she looks amazing.
Girls, of course it's weight loss shots. She's never been able to lose weight before.
But wait, she has energy, and she doesn't have that saggy weight loss face.
It's not the shots or a crash diet. It's Almaced, the natural superfood protein shake that lets you lose weight in a healthy way. Forget shots. Did you know that research shows that most people drop off popular weight loss diets in a year and gain the weight back? Worse yet, they lost lean muscle and zapped their metabolism. With Almaced, you can maintain 100% of your muscle mass.
I dropped the weight, but I didn't lose the muscle mass. That was very important.
Lose up to 2 dress sizes in 6 weeks.
I had lost 45 pounds. I say it's a miracle in a can.
I went from a size 18 to a size 8.
The reason why you're having trouble losing weight could be a liver clogged with fat. Almaced is a scientifically proven food supplement that uses natural amino acids to help unclog your liver and optimize your metabolism, so it's easier to lose weight.
Almaced helps you have younger looking skin and hair with amino acids your body needs to build collagen naturally.
I feel better, my skin's healthier, my hair's better.
I went from 260 pounds to 175. I wasn't hungry. It made me feel full. There was no side effects.
Almaced naturally reduces the hunger hormone, so you feel full and eat less. Go to almaced.com now to get started for just $39.99. That's $4 a meal.
It was Almaced, not the fat shots? Mind blown.
Almaced is not a substitute for prescription medicines and is not intended to treat any condition associated with GLP-1 therapy. See scientific studies supporting our claims at almaced.com/research.
Markets go up, they go down. That's reality. Smart investors don't just bet on one asset, they also invest in precious metals with universal coin and bullion. For centuries, gold and silver have helped protect wealth when paper assets get volatile. Unlike stocks, gold doesn't disappear overnight. It's real, it's tangible, it's portable, and it belongs in serious portfolios. Invest with expertise you can trust. Call Universal Coin and Bullion today.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, when Scott Besson and Vogt come back in 2 weeks with kind of this plan, the growth plan, but it's dealing with both revenue issues and cost issues. The revenue issues is, remember, Scott's dual-hatted. His other hat, he's overseeing the IRS. He's got a mandate from President Trump. Everything we're owed, we got to collect because we're essentially broke. We can't have $2 trillion deficits. One reason I need you to get above 5.5 trillion in revenue, Bess, and go for it. Tax Network USA, tnusa.com/Bannon, or call the special hotline, 866-513-5516. For $49, this is about the October 15th extension. Since you filed an extension, you've got a tax file. They can actually pull it with your permission, and for $49, they will, and they'll walk you through the bid and the ask. What is that? What the federal government thinks you owe, and of course, what you think you owe. You need that information, and you need it now. For $49, you can get it. 866-513-5516. Do it today. Tax Network USA. Mark Mitchell, just give me the overall theme, a couple of minutes of why you stepped away. You've now got the honest poll. You answer to yourself. You're going to be on a lot. We love you for the fact you're brutally honest. You never pull your punches, and you're a Naval Academy grad and a former naval officer. I'll throw that in too. So give us the overarching thesis, the theory of the case of why you did this and what you're going to be presenting. And then we'll have you on hopefully maybe tomorrow or over early next week to go through some details of where we stand right now, sir.
I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me back on. You didn't have to do this, and very helpful. And I believe in independent polling, and I think it's under attack. I think independence in many forms is under attack. So much money in politics. It's so easy to sell your integrity, and the American people deserve better. And so my goal is to poll the American people, ask the questions behind the politics. What do Americans want? How can we get them more of that? How can the country move in the right direction? And if it's uncomfortable, that's fine. I can be the whipping boy because I don't have to take money from a political action committee. So I worked for Rasmussen for 5 years. I think I did a lot of things to improve that business. Our credibility increased like quite a bit. And also at the same time, I was critical of the Trump administration because, in my opinion, in order for this coalition to stay together, Trump has to remember why he got elected and talk about that every day. And that means not necessarily taking sides against some of these people that are part of that coalition. Like, for instance, you have a median first-time homebuyer age of 42 right now. And so the house values are a real problem to people. And so that should inform how you talk about people, because that's a core part of economic populism. People not even be able to afford the American dream. And so I'll say that, and I've been critical and have said that. And in my opinion, that's a valuable feedback loop that the right could use to get its messaging better. And what unfortunately I think you're seeing now is this expedient dog ate your homework kind of rush to slap something together for the midterms when they were warned almost a year ago that this was coming.
And not just that, some of the pollsters gave false information. We'll get into all that next week. Where do they go? Honest poll. Where do they go right now to find your channel, your social media, all of it, sir? Where do they go?
On Twitter, I'm at Honest Pollster, but I just started a new YouTube channel, and I have a 24-minute video that's my story about why I left Rasmussen Reports. Long story short, I was told that my criticism of the Trump administration was potentially unhelpful to the business because it was going to endanger the opportunity of collecting money from a Trump-aligned political action committee. And I don't play like that. I will be funded by the American people, advertisers, subscribers. So go to @HonestPoll on YouTube. Please join. It's sink or swim time, and we're going to put the American people first.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate Honest Poll. Everybody go over there. It's totally free. Sign up. Thanks. Sofia Karstens, I'm always so proud when we find something we're going around looking for the news and we see somebody that we've known for a long time and they've written a piece. We go, wow, this thing's amazing. And Brownstone's got it. We have you on. And then the great Zero Hedge, which I think is one of the best sites in the world, puts it up in its entirety and puts it as a feature story. And that's what happened. Deep capture the administrative state's intellectual organs. Hit reset. Let's talk. We got time enough now to go through the whole thing. What inspired you to write this? And what are the takeaways people should understand today in the fight that we've got for this republic ending debt, the Marxist jihadist coalition that's coming after us? Why is this article? What does it tell us? And why is it going to help us in this fight, ma'am?
Right. Well, you actually just said it out loud. So we are in the last mile of the long march that I describe in the article. And the point being, really, they're already at the helm of our institutions, which have quietly shifted to become the ruling entities, not our elected officials. And it's no longer just institutional. So candidates and elected officials at the state and federal levels have provable links to the CCP and terrorist organizations and CARE and DSA, especially in certain key states. So what they've done is they have already laid the pipe. All they have to do is turn on the water. So I'm going to kind of skip to the last chapter in this Choose Your Own Adventure. And I'm going to go ahead and say the quiet part out loud here because this is a hostile takeover. And the problem that people are afraid to talk about is the communists, not Democrat socialists, call them what they are, have linked arms in the foxhole with the jihadists because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And this is where this leads. The Islamification and communist takeover of this country and the obliteration of our way of life. All the details right now in the zeitgeist are noise. Everything besides this issue is deck chairs on the Titanic. And that's not speculation. It's historical precedent. Look at the UK. In fact, look at Dearborn, Michigan. The Cuban Missile Crisis never ended. It only changed form. And before you say all these countries aren't allies, it doesn't matter. These entities might spit at each other politically, but global politics is just a game of Monopoly to them. Above all that, it's a business and they all want a seat at the table. So they will play nice in the sandbox to get a piece of that pie. And funding wise, via various conduits, all roads of this arm of the octopus lead to the CCP in Iran. And this is not all Muslims. I want to be very clear. This is the jihadists. In fact, they're brutally slaughtering other Muslims who are not jihadist. But they are pushing a psyop designed for poor Soviets. And the embarrassing part is that so many educated Americans are falling for it. And the problem is, and it's very difficult, this is not an org chart with one guy at the top twirling his mustache in the mirror every morning. This is a net around the globe. It's a system. And we have to be strategic if we're going to Carver matrix our way out of this, because arguing over the deck chairs will spell the end of our way of life. This is not friendly. This is a hostile takeover. And the problem is that people are believing the lie. During the Holocaust, there was a core tenet that was printed on the materials and disseminated among the participants. And it's on the wall at Yad Vashem. The people going to their deaths must be deceived until the very end. They built fake railway platforms, ticket windows, clocks, even flowers and orchestras to trick arriving prisoners into thinking it was a train station. Victims were told they needed to hand over valuables for safekeeping, and then they were given receipts. The primary goal was to maintain the illusion right up until the doors of the gas chambers were locked in order to avoid costly uprisings and to keep the killing process orderly and efficient. It's a trick and it's a trap, and we're being led as Americans. That mask will come off when the deception part is over, once the doors are locked. That's where we're standing right now in this country. And the reason I wrote the piece, long, short way of answering your question, is because my data suggests that if we can get 35% of Americans to understand this, really understand this, where we were 100 years ago, where we are now, why, and who's at the helm, we have a shot at turning the ship around.
Why 35%? What leads you to that mathematical number? That if we have a hardcore base of 35%, why is that? Why can that lead us to victory?
There's a lot of data that shows that smaller numbers, there's 3 to 7% in some way. In some cases, there's other polling and other data that shows that 25%, but it's missing pieces. So you have to sort of overlap to cover the holes. And if you overlap all the data that exists, that shows that over 33% which I pushed the needle a little bit more at 35. If you can get that number of people to link arms in the foxhole, and we have to do what they're doing. Everybody right now in this country is trying to find their team instead of trying to find their village. We have to stop being one-issue voters. We have to stop caring that somebody doesn't wear the full uniform of crazy on either side or whatever full uniform we think they should wear on every single issue. And we need to link arms with people who are value-driven, not issue-driven. And the data that I have suggests that 35% of the population is enough of a tipping point to where it's not scary for the remaining percentage that you're never going to reach the fringe on either side. But the movable middle, it's scary for the movable middle because there's so much propaganda and there's so much pushback, and it's costly. That we just watched during the pandemic how costly it is to stand up when the majority has different ideas. So it's my strong opinion that if we can get 35% of the population to stand strong, Lawrence of Arabia style, I do think that we have a shot at that movable middle linking arms with us in the foxhole, because the enemy that we're facing is very powerful. It is unlimited resourced, and it is already in our institutions.
Can you reverse? This is Roger Kimball, and the book he wrote, The Long March, that off of Cloward Piven and what they've at Linsky, what they've tried done. The 100-year, or ever since the Frankfurt School came here, I guess in the 20s and 30s, from Germany, basically from Europe. That long march, you said we're in the last mile of that. Can 35% of the population stop that long march and begin to reverse it? Is that what you're saying?
I think that is the number that is needed. And yes, I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to win this one. But what I am saying is that if we do nothing, it's a foregone conclusion that we will lose. And I do think that if we have enough people, what it does is it shines a light. I'm not delusional. I don't think we're going to, sink their ship. But if we can shine a bright enough light on enough of it at key opportunities and opportune times, like elections, if we can shine lights, the cockroaches will scatter to avoid having the light shown on them. And that is an opportunity. Those moments are an opportunity. So between now and the midterms is an opportunity. If people are aware and they know what to look for and they know what they're looking at and they know what they're seeing, who's not confused about what's happening in this country? Anyone from Eastern Europe, anyone from China, anyone from any South American country who remembers our military industrial complex steaming in there to exploit resources by enslaving people in debt. So they're not confused at all because they know what they're seeing. They know what they're looking at. It's Americans who, they're not stupid. They don't know what they're seeing.
Sofia, hang on for 1 second. Sofia Karstens. Her piece that we highlighted from the Brownstone Institute, picked up by the Great Zero Hedge and profiled. Short break. The Long March Through the Institutions. Next.
I can tell you that an Erie metal roof can outlast the toughest storms. But I'd rather prove it. An Erie metal roof keeps what matters most dry, sealed, and secure. Like these irreplaceable family photos. Let it rip! Built from durable stone-coated steel, our roofs are professionally installed to help keep water where it belongs. Plus, Erie metal roofs are backed by a 50-year transferable warranty. Want peace of mind that outlasts your mortgage? Call 866-770-ERIE or visit eriehome.com.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Tired of the radical left destroying our country? Looking for a real conservative alternative to the woke AARP? Meet AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. Over 2 million strong, AMAC is fighting for faith, family, freedom, and our sacred Constitution. As a member, you get powerful everyday benefits. Huge discounts on travel, hotels, restaurants, shopping, and entertainment. Plus major savings on vision, dental, auto, home, and life insurance. We'll help you navigate Medicare and Social Security with honest America First guidance. Plus, you'll receive AMAC Magazine, uncensored news, legislative alerts, and real grassroots tools to make your voice heard and take our country back. Patriots, this is your moment. If you love America and want to defend it for the next generation, join the fight. Scan the QR code right now or go to amac.com/RAV. Fight back. Let's make America great again.
When is the last time you had date night? Might have been a little too long. Well, I want to suggest a great date night movie for you called The Brink of War. It's Angel Studios' newest release, which just came off the hit summer movie Young Washington. Here's a quick preview of The Brink of War.
You got the Russians to the table. Gorbachev came to play. But if we fail here, there will be war.
When you purchase a premium Angel Guild membership and use the code DATENIGHT, you will get 4 free months of membership plus 2 free tickets to see The Brink of War in theaters. And you'll get full access to Angel's entire streaming library, plus free tickets to every single Angel theatrical release in the future while you remain a member. That's one heck of a date night deal. Head on over to angel.com/RAV and use the code DATENIGHT for this amazing deal.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
You know, we had Jeff Stein on early in the week, formerly the head financial and economic writer of the Washington Post, now over at Notice, and did an incredible piece on about the containment breaking out, the top people in Silicon Valley. He went out there to report it. And he says, hey, Steve, have you and your audience ever heard this term prepper? Of course, yeah, I think we've heard of it. He says, hey, the top guys in Silicon Valley in charge of security have gone from accelerationist on artificial intelligence. He says many of them have moved and becoming preppers. I go, what do you mean? When I talked to him after, he says they're moving to Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, other places. They're just going back to farming. He said they've seen the future and it ain't them, right? They're so scared about these advances of the technology. My Patriots Supply, the reason we knew it, the best company in the space. My Patriot Supply has been there for decades, warning people about this and getting you to have common sense and prepare for the future. We've got a special website for them, a special landing page, preparewithbannon.com. Go to preparewithbannon.com right now to get all the specials from My Patriot Supply. Most important, you've got a freebie right now. Take the preparedness challenge for your chance to win a 1-week emergency food bundle for a family of 4. It's normally $600. It's totally free if you win. Go to preparewithbannon.com. Find out what preparedness is. They got great consultants, advisors. They can do it all. Find out why the top minds in Silicon Valley in charge of security for artificial intelligence, many of them are punching out and saying, hey, I need to find out about this preparation. I need to become a prepper. Find out what it means today. Go to preparewithbannon.com. Check it out. Totally free. Go check it out. Take the challenge. Chris Matthews, hardball, ain't happy with Sofia Karstens. Let's go ahead and play it.
I think if they do that, they would have an effective counter to what Trump's probably going to be up to, thanks to Steve Miller and that crowd. They're going to come up with something dirty. They're going to try to make all Democrats into something like the Marxist wing of the DSA. They're going to try to make it really bad, and they're going to make it nasty like they did with the going after the trans kids in the last election. Just remember, people on the sidelines of an NFL game, all of a sudden they're watching this new ad in the third quarter of the game. Where'd that ad come from? What's all this about? As Karl Rove told me, the Republicans are good at that last 6 weeks where they come up with something really nasty like Willie Horton. By the way, his name was never Willie in his whole life. They came up with the name Willie because they wanted to sound black. Excuse me. They are very good at confecting this stuff. And I can see they can do something with the DSA, and they're going to make them into real Marxists. They're going to play the game. Personally, I think AOC is as American as apple pie. It won't work with her. It may work with some others, but I think they're going to get nasty, and I think it's going to be a really great close.
Sofia Karstens, there you are. You're calling all this Marxist, all this deep communist, and you're saying that AOC and all these all-American as apple pie people are, you're smearing them. You're the weapon for the last 6 weeks. In fact, that's why Zero Hedge promoted your piece. Your response, ma'am?
These aren't the droids you're looking for. I do think that nobody has to make anything up. They're doing a very good job of proving our point for us. I don't really know what that was. It was a lot of emotional, anecdotal speculation. I didn't hear any
It was called no. They're very hang on. They're very sophisticated. Morning Joe. They were all over now. Trump, the whole debt. The Guardian says debt reaches 40 trillion. Democrats outraged. Right now, they're trying to get ahead of you. They see exactly what you're doing and explain to people the long march. Explain why these people are not just your father's progressives or your father's Democrats, that these guys are actually Marxists and they come from a long lineage of 100 years ago. And that chain of being, that chain of title goes down to the current period. And this is what happened. They're smart. They understand what Sofia Karstens is doing to expose this. And they're right now saying, she says there's 35%. We want to make sure there's under 10% that buy this. And that's the way, not just so we win elections, but that's the way we continue to control. So your response to that, ma'am?
Let's ask the wolf where to keep the sheep safe for the night. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I feel like it's very transparent. And I don't feel like Americans are falling for it. I really don't. I think people are smarter than that. I mean, I understand that we certainly need to hold the line, but I don't think people are that dumb where we just believe the wolf telling us where everyone's safe for the night. That's ridiculous.
So, Sofia, where do people go to get more of your writings? Where can they, if you're going to give speaking engagements, where do they go to see you in person? I believe you're headquartered out in California. The People's
I am in California.
Where you guys have been dealing with this.
We're invaded.
So, where do people get your writings?
I am on Twitter at Sophia, my name, Sofia J London, like the city, at Sophia J London. I am on Substack at Sofia Karstens, my name. And my organization is Spirit of 1776, and that is thespiritof1776.net.
Thank you. So fantastic. Get all your writings. Thank you for joining us again. And congratulations that the great Zero Hedge profiled your piece in its entirety.
Excellent. And I'm apparently an enemy of the DSA badge of honor.
I think they get that. Thank you, ma'am. Also, Dr. Jeffrey Tucker and all the folks over at Brownstone. What a great group. Okay, Ben Harnwell is going to pick it up from here. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. The Saturday show is going to be quite special. Make sure you don't miss it. So much going on. I want to thank the Real America's Voice team that always pitches in and helps us with the Saturday show. Wow. What a week. Every week going forward is going to be more and more intense. You understand that, right? With this massive fight we're going to have at the midterms and beyond. Because remember, we're fighting to hold serve by a couple of seats in the House and maybe, I don't know, a tie in the Senate, maybe one seat in the Senate or a tie so JD can break the ties. What does that mean? It's a long fight after that. And that's if we hold serve. If you don't hold serve, Fort Apache, the White House. Not so sure they're ready for that over there. Don't think so. That's why this fight's got to go on now. I want to thank everybody, all the sponsors, everybody, Birch Gold. Let's get ahead of this. Make sure you understand why physical assets like real estate, sports teams, music libraries, physical gold, why are they on the march? It's the drop in the purchasing power of the United States dollar, King dollar. The entire system is built around, since World War II, the dollar, King dollar, as the prime reserve currency. Understand that. You're free men and free women. You got to make decisions on your own. We're not here to wet nurse you. You know that. You're part of the War Room posse. You're one of the fighters in the breach. birchgold.com/Bannon, End of the Dollar Empire. Study it, learn it. I have more to say, but talk to telepathically. Harnwell next. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
This is Fubo. It's a better way to watch Fox, FS1, and other top sports networks. Plus, get coverage of your local teams all season long. Start watching at FuboTV.com.
The system is outdated and archaic and vulnerable to title fraud, a growing scam the FBI now calls house stealing. Scammers can now easily download and forge one document, apply one fake notary stamp, and then file it with the recorder. Just like that, the property has been taken out of your name. Then they borrow against your home using your equity.
Find out if you're already a victim. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build